My God. Wow. What's going on, everybody? My name is John Serwin, and this is my kitchen. Welcome. Today, I'm going to show you how I made this homemade beef stew. It's a cold and rainy day here in Chicago, and I don't think anything hits better than a slow-braised beef stew that is unctuous, delicious, rich, stick to your ribs, and scratches you right where you itch. I'll show you the techniques and how it's done coming up. Stay tuned. For our stew, we're going to take about 1 pound of carrots. We will peel these and dice these. We're going to take 1 pound of mushrooms and quarter them. Take 2 onions and do a medium dice. For our potatoes, I just like using little potatoes. These are the trios, so they're all different colors, which is pretty cool. All I'm going to end up doing is taking and rustically peeling them. We're not going to peel a whole bunch. Literally just probably take like 4 or 5 or 6. That's it. I just want to break open the skin a little bit so it can absorb some of the liquid. But I like the peel on there, so keep the rest on there. That's our rustic peel on about 2 pounds of potatoes. For the meat in our beef stew, I have a nice chuck roast that when I buy chuck roast, I look for the marbling right here. See all that marbling inside? We're going to go ahead and get rid of these big, thick pieces of fat. Cut this up into about 1.5 inch cubes. When I ordered a cow, they gave us this. They just call them soup bones, but that right there, that looks like a femur or a shank of a cow. So I believe these are some beef shanks. They just literally labeled them as soup bones. But if anyone can tell, you know what, let me open these up. I'm no butcher, and that would be my guess. But look at the marbling in there, and that beef, that bone marrow is going to give us some nice flavor in there. So we're going to go chuck roast. This is about 2 pounds, and this is about 2 pounds. Afterwards, we're going to get anywhere for about 3 to 3.5 pounds of meat after we butcher out some of the fat. Oh, look at that. These are cut in half, so there's 4 of them. We're going to get this all prepped up. We are going to oven sear our chuck roast, and we will sear our soup bones or beef shanks. If anyone knows the actual name of them, go ahead and let me know. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to call them beef shanks. We're going to go in with a nice sharp knife and just kind of cut down this fat. And we're going to take out a good amount of fat because we're going to have enough fat in there with this marbling. And there we go. There's that ribbon of, we got a little bit of meat on there, but that's fine. This is going to go into our grind pile. This we're going to take and we're going to cube up. And if we find any little pieces that have a big old pocket of fat, we're going to take it out. Here, just take a look at the marbling on here. I know some people actually take these and we'll make cut steaks out of these because that marbling is impressive. I forget what is the name of that cut a steak out of the chuck, but there is a name for it. If anyone knows, go ahead and put it in the comments below for me. What we're going to do with the beef is throw it onto a silicone-lined half-sheet pan, or if you had parchment paper. We are going to space these out and throw a little bit of salt on there. We're going to leave it in there for about 20 minutes. Remember, always season high. This will just help pull out some of the moisture, get a little better sear on there. Our oven is up to 450 degrees. Let that go for about 20 to 25 minutes. Over at our stove top, we are going to grab our heavy bottom 6-quart Dutch oven. Get that onto medium-high heat. Earlier on, I roasted some garlic in olive oil. I call it confit garlic. So right here is just roasted garlic with olive oil. So I'm going to take some of that olive oil, pour it into the pan. We will be browning our beef shanks in here one at a time to try and get some nice color on there. Here's our beef shanks. In the meantime, I am going to grab some kosher salt and just salt this side. We will be putting this side down first. So remember, we're searing the chuck roast off in the oven and we're pot searing the beef shanks. If you only had chuck roast, use all chuck roast. If you only had beef shanks, use all beef shanks. Just go ahead and make some beef stew. See if we could see that. All right, we are up, oh wow, 420. So we're gonna get this beef shank in there and get it seared off. Take the big boy in there first. Remember, always lay away. Now this is a higher sided pot, so it shouldn't matter, but it's just good practice to have. And if you don't have one of these yet, I'll go ahead and leave a link in the bio. We're gonna leave this go for about 2-3 minutes and then flip it. We are starting to get some pretty good grease flying around, so I am gonna start implementing my splatter guard. Makes for easier cleanup. It's now been about 3 minutes. We're gonna give her a flip. That's some good sear. Another 2-3 minutes. Now been another 3 minutes. We're gonna go ahead, retrieve that out of there, and we're just gonna put it on. We don't need to worry about keeping that char. We eventually actually want that to soften up. I'm not gonna worry about this releasing some of the juices and sitting in there because that's actually what we want. I am gonna turn this down because it's getting a little bit too much color over there. I think I can fit 2 in here. I'm gonna finish up all 3 of these and we'll be back. All right, last one is ready to come out. Look at that color in there. That's a beautiful thing to see. What we're gonna end up doing is throwing in all of our veggies except for the potatoes right now. So here's some of that garlic olive oil again. Just a little bit in there. We are gonna throw in all of our onions, carrots, and mushrooms. Go in with a strong pinch of salt. Once these start sweating out, the onions, the mushrooms, the carrots, the liquid in there should deglaze the bottom of the pan. In the meantime, this is what our chuck roast looks like. That's why it's awesome to do some oven searing. If you can get, like, this is full coverage seared. That is awesome to see. What I am gonna do, because I don't wanna add any more unnecessary fat, I'm just gonna take some of the liquid that is draining off, because that's gonna be some fat and some beef drippings. That should help deglaze a little bit of the bottom and get a nice roasty, toasty saute on our aromatics and vegetables over here. We're gonna turn off our heat. Our veg has cooked down nicely. We will take it and get it all into our bowl because we will be adding this back into our stew later on. We don't want it to overcook now because that beef is gonna take quite some time, about a good 3 hours to cook down. Move this off to the side for now. We'll get our Dutch oven back on to medium heat. Throw in 1 stick of butter. Once our butter is melted down, we're going to go ahead and make a roux. So 1 stick of unsalted butter or salted, whatever you have. If you're concerned about it, go in with unsalted and you can always add salt later and be more precise. 1 stick of butter weighs 4 ounces or 115 grams. So we are going to go in with 115 grams of some all-purpose flour. Whisk this to combine. Get the flour all coated up and we're going to cook it for a good about 2 minutes. We want those individual little pieces of flour fully coated with fat, and we want to cook off that raw flour edge. Been about 2 minutes. Going to give this a little bit of a whisk, and there we go. We got a little bit of brownness. That's going to be beautiful, a little depth of flavor. I'm going to go in with a porter beer. Porter gives it that nice, like, caramely, graham crackery, gingery flavor to the braising liquid. Next, we're going to go in with a box, possibly 2. We're going to see what it looks like with, actually, we are going to go in with 2 boxes of unsalted beef stock from the store. If you have homemade, please use homemade. That would be the best possible scenario, but we're going to go in 2 boxes worth. I usually, for 2 boxes, I would go in with 4 packets of some gelatin, but since we have those beef shanks that have the bone marrow, that's going to give you that unctuous gelatin type mouthfeel. So 4 packets of that natural gelatin would be 30 grams. I'm going to go in with 20 grams, and I buy it in bulk because I love making soups and stews. So this is all it looks like. It says natural. Sorry, let me do this. Just natural plain gelatin. You can make so many things out of that. Desserts, soups, stews. So 20 grams going in. Whisk it up. Nice 30 gram or just a nice heavy tablespoon of beef better than bouillon. 100 grams of tomato paste. This will give it that nice body and a slight little bit of sweetness. And last but not least, we're going to go in with about 10 glugs of some Worcestershire sauce. Call it 15 grams. Remember, we can always adjust later on. Whisk this up a bit. Get it all incorporated. We're going to add all the beef back in once it simmers up and put it into our oven at 300 degrees. We will be cooking it for 2 hours. After the 1 hour mark, we will be mixing it. And at the 2 hour mark, we will check the consistency and thickness. All right, maybe if I zoom in close here, you can see the slight, tiny little bit of movement going on. So we're at a good point to add everything back into the pot. All right, everybody back in the pool. All the beef drippings and everything. And then in with the beef shanks and the resting liquids that were in there. Get this all fully submerged, and we are going into our oven at 300 degrees for 2 hours. Remember, after 1 hour, we will mix it around After the second hour, we will add our vegetation back in. Our oven is at 300 degrees, getting our stew on in there. You could use it on the stovetop, but I just love using the oven for it. A nice even heating. Yes, a sweet reappearance of the gloves, I know. I'll have a link in the description for you guys to be able to look as cool as I do. All right, back on schedule here. 3 hours. An hour has elapsed, and we are going to pull this out. Oh, yeah. You know what? Let me get you a better look here. All right, it was just bubbling up, so we're going to give it a little bit of a stir to break that skin some. Wow, that smells phenomenal. All right, 1 more hour in there, and then we will add our potatoes and aromatic vegetables back in. All right, back into the oven we go. It has now been 2 hours, and we are going to take our stew back out of the oven. Let's get you a good look at her bubbling up like that. Oh, yeah, look at that. The bone is coming out of that one and the marrow in there. Whew. Still going to cook down for another hour. Our stew is not where I want it to be thickness-wise, which is fine. That's what I was expecting. So what we're going to do, we're going to take that as our potatoes, onions, carrots, mushrooms. I have 30 grams of all-purpose flour, and we're just going to coat and hydrate it up in our potatoes, onions, carrots, mushrooms right now. And then we're going to glove up and mix it around, let it all hydrate up for about a good 5 minutes. This way, when you put it into the stew, it's not going to clump up, and it'll help thicken even more. Remember, the carrots are mostly raw, and the potatoes are completely raw. All right, everybody into the pool. I think I should probably end up getting a larger Dutch oven, because this will max it out. We're going to see how well this goes. The magic and the fun of cooking, folks. Hey, we made it. With a little room to spare. Not much, but a little room to spare. Get this all mixed in. I'm probably going to put this on a sheet pan in the oven now, just in case this decides to boil over. It already actually, you can see the flour working and already starting to thicken up. All right, get this all submerged. I'm going to throw in a few sprigs of thyme. I like thyme. Let's go a little wild on it. Some thyme in there. If you have rosemary, feel free, throw some rosemary in there. Whatever you want to throw in there. Me doing thyme and 2 bay leaves. Get those submerged up and back into our 300-degree oven for 1 more hour. 3 hours later, we're going to take this out of the oven. There we are, folks. We're going to let this cool down some before we get ready to serve, but we're also going to spoon off some of that grease. We could sit there and cool this down fully, put it in the fridge, and then the grease will solidify into like a puck, and then you can easily take it out. But guess what? I want stew tonight. Stews, soups, chilies, they're all better the next day. That's because the flavors rested and melded. But guess what? This is going to be fantastic tonight and even better tomorrow. So we're going to let this rest for about a good, I'd say almost 2 hours. We're going to check the temp, and we're going to bring it down to about 140 degrees. That way the meat can rest, reabsorb all these juices, and everything has time to chill out. So I'll let you know the time once it's rested down to 140 degrees. For reference, we are currently sitting at 190. Well, I thought I hit record and I did not. All I did was put in some peas here. So I always put in peas at the very end. Gives it that nice green pop, little bit of sweetness, and you just throw in frozen peas. You don't need to cook them, so the residual heat will bring it through. I also, as I let this cool down, I mixed it once or twice, and there wasn't a whole bunch of fat, and it all just ended up mixing in, and it looks pretty good to me, so I'm not going to mess with it. Otherwise, you could take a small ladle and kind of skim it off, but unnecessary, not needed anymore. All right, and there you have it, folks. Homemade beef stew. It's been making my kitchen smell so incredible for the past, 4 or 5 hours. I think this took a total of about 5 hours with all the prep, the cook, and the rest time. But yeah, it looks incredible. I have a nice little chunk of sourdough bread. We'll probably get that recipe out one of these days soon, but still a work in progress. Yeah, I'm excited. My mouth is watering. I'm having a hard time finding the words to describe this before I dive on in. So you know what? Nothing left to do but give it the old official taste test, because I've been waiting so long for this. So bottoms up. My God. Wow. I just got a piece of that chuck roast, and it was unbelievably perfect. I'm going to try and find one for you. because it holds together on the spoon, but as soon as I start biting into it, it just melts apart. And it's not that like dry, shreddy. You can tell it's done very well and rested well. I think that's an underserved part of doing soups and stews. Rest it down and then, hey, heat it back up a little bit maybe. But resting it down, allowing that temperature to come back down and everything to relax, it reabsorbs whatever liquid it is in. And that's exactly what that did. That's, I guess, why stews, soups, chilies are always better the next day. They're rested down, cooled off, and then you reheat them back up. Well, I rested this down to probably 130, 140. I did heat it back up slightly for a moment just to get a little bit of steam. And wow, yeah, that was fantastic. I'm going to try and get now a potato. Man, perfect. Resting it. Wow, that's okay. Maybe I just discovered something. That's what I'm going to have to do, because the cooking aspect is super important, but I feel like the resting aspect is just as important, because that flavor that is coming through is out of bounds. I'm going to go with a little bit of that beef shank that we have in there that came from the butcher. So let's see. Man, oh man. That collagen all converted and cooked down into gelatin. And yeah, this might be one of the best stews I have made actually to date. And I truly think it's because of losing track of time and letting it rest for an extra hour. The mushrooms, the peas, the onions, the carrots, the thyme, the bay leaf, the potatoes. This is top notch. That porter beer, if you don't want to use beer, use more beef stock, use wine. I've used wine, but I just really enjoy a porter beer in my stew. It's my number one. Yeah, it's no substitute. I guess I shouldn't say no substitute. It goes beer, wine, beef stock, I guess would be a good way to put it. So yeah, I hope you try this out, because this might be one of my better recipes that I have out there. I might have to put this, I would say, top 3 in the channel. Let me know. What do you feel about beef stew? Is it one of your go-tos? Do you like beef stew? Are you more of a stew, a soup, or a pot roast person? Because honestly, I like all 3, and it just depends on what mood you're in. Give this one a shot. Comment below and let me know. And yeah, appreciate you guys coming by and checking this video out. And just remember, you're only making food out of ingredients until you sit down and share them with the ones you love. Then it's a meal. All right, guys, greatly appreciate it. Can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart. It always surprises me the amount of engagement and the amount of encouragement I'm getting. And yeah, it's awesome. I'm not going to stop, and I'm having a blast doing this. I hope you guys are getting value out of it. All right, till next time.